All right. So how many people here were with us for the last session of the promoting? All right, so we got some new bodies. Okay, so why am I wearing the doctor coat? It's a neat way to pick up women. No. No. It says on here experimentologist, and the concept of power promoting is to say, what about something different? What about something a little crazy with regards to how you get people to come in and do business with you? Just as in the break there we were discussing about the unique ways that we waited on people. I would ask you this question. Would you think if you came into my shop that within the first 2 or 3 minutes of being in my shop, would you think you'd have a sense, a feeling that my shop was kind of different? That my people did things a little differently than everybody else? Because we stress some very different points. So if I'm going to do that with my customers, I also need to take and do that with regards to how do I get my customers to come in and do business. So, and how many people do we have who were not here for the first session? Oh, all right. So for those of you who were here earlier, like Chris and Jennifer, give me a couple of moments. It started from this idea in my generation. I had 300 people who had charge accounts in our store, and in the first month after having bought the business, I found that over half of them did not have an outstanding balance, so they obviously did not buy something from the store. So what we did was trip our computer to print statements, and on the statements of the people who had a zero balance, we handwrote a note, and it simply said, "You owe us nothing, we wish you did, please come see us." And we signed it, and people would walk in the store and do business. I got your note. Well, from there, we added the next step of sending personalized notes on all the statements. Just every so often, send them a little personalized note. And then we thought, how could I get people to come back in? And the answer that we found was to print a little coupon that we would throw in their statements. And the coupon said, this item is absolutely free, just come in and pick it up. The analogy that I used in the first session was this one. Whether you are a private place, whether you're a public place, whether you're a golf shop downtown, in a mall, in a strip center, if Tom were driving a big bus, one of those Greyhound kind of buses, and I were to take and bring people in that bus to your front doorstep and have them get out and walk into your shop, how much money would you pay me per head? And after I bring the first bus, I'll bring you another bus and another bus. Is that worth some money to you? And the answer should be yes, and the answer that we agreed on, well, I think it's a little bit of a low figure, that we agreed on in the first session was $1. $1 a head you would pay me for people who would come in and just to look at your place. So I said, well, then let's look at some things a little differently as to how we get them in the door, still investing that $1. And what the results were a bunch of unique promotional ideas that I have found from other people. Some of them I've tried, other ones I've found them, many of them after I have sold my store, which has been many years ago. But what we were looking at was ways that businesses very successfully keep their name, sometimes their address, their phone number, their contact information, or keep themselves in their wallet, in their purse, keep themselves in that person's mind to cause them to want to come back and do business with me as compared to going and doing business someplace else. So what we have hung up on the wall on this side of the room, when we were here in the first session, they were all over here on this side, and that was from I had written a book called Power Promoting Ideas. And it was a little blue book, and it was 100 ideas of just little crazy things that people did to move merchandise, to get people to come in the store. Well, after I wrote the first one, it pretty good seller, but after I would do this presentation, people would come up and say, let me tell you what we do at our place. I'd say, hold on a second, let me get a pen and paper and let me write it down. And I just started keeping track of them. Well, after a while, I had this fairly high stack of paper and went through it and was like, son of a gun, there's enough here for another book and another set of posters. Well, we got that one. I'm here to tell you that while it's not finished, right now we're about 30 ideas into the third series. Someone says, when's book 3 coming out? And that's very simple. When I find 70 more really good workable ideas, then we'll take and come up with the third book. But we're just taking our time because we really want some good stuff from it. So what we're going to do this morning is wild and crazy ideas. I found this picture right quick. This was another neat promotion. How many people know who these folks are? Who can tell me who these people are? John, we got? That's Dan Blocker. Yeah. What's that? No, but that's Dan Blocker in the middle. That was Hoss. If you were old enough to remember watching Gunsmoke years and years ago. No, Bonanza. Bonanza. Wrong show. If you watched Bonanza years ago, that was Lil Hoss. Except he just didn't have the big hat on top of him. Okay, who's the other two people? No, it's not Sam. All right, now the only reason I ask this, I just want to see if I'm finding a lost long relative. That's my great-grandparents. Okay? That's my great-grandma and that's my great-grandpa. Generation number 4 is me, and generation number 1 is that right there. That's G.W. Brown. In the 1960s, in my grandfather's general store, his son that carried on the family name in the family store, his son was Buster Brown, my grandpa. And at one point in time, for selling appliances at Buster Brown's general store, having sold enough Frigidaire or something, we had Dan Blocker for a day to be in there and have pictures taken and have autographs. And the one picture I got is Dan Blocker with my great-grandparents. Okay, just a little something wild and goofy as a promotion. Well, here's the way this morning works. You see, I've got a bunch of posters over here on this wall. The way I need you to participate with me is to take and see a poster that piques your attention. I will go over and yank it off the wall, and I will explain to you how it works. Now, if you open up your presentation notes, you will see that what you have is a piece of paper with the numbers 1 through, what are we up to this time, Chris? 22. I squeezed in a couple more. So this is going to be a better session yet. And the reason why you have a piece of paper with numbers 1 through 22 was, as I explained to the earlier group, I did the session one day and someone said, how come there's no presentation notes for it? And I said, because it's a fluid participation event and I don't know which way it's going. But they still said, why not presentation notes? So I came up with a piece of paper, numbered it 1 to 22, and now no one's ever said, why aren't there any presentation notes? Because now you got them, all right? I answered your question. All right, now the postcard that I wandered around and gave to everybody. For those of you who are newbies with me, this is something I do in every session. I want you to go home and do something with this information. I do not want this to be, oh, this was fun, oh, this was something I learned. Learning is no good if you don't do something with it. So here's the invitation. You take the postcard, and on the side with a small amount of printing, address the postcard to yourself. All right? Address it to yourself. No, it's not a gimmick. I'm not mailing you junk mail and other stuff. Just address your postcard to yourself and flip it over to the other side. And while we're together, if you pick up some neat ideas like, oh, I could do that, and that would be like so sharp to do in my shop, write it down. Now, give me back the postcards when we're done. I will look at them. I will read them. Somewhere in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to make notes on there. I write with green ink, color of money, and I will cut it out for you. 2 weeks from today, I cut your postcard out, and I will put the postage on it no matter where in the world you live, and I'm going to mail this thing to you. What I find consistently is this now jumpstarts you into doing something again. And then at that point, you can say, hey, I really got something out of Tom Shea's presentation. Then you're happy and I'm happy, all right? So that's the way that one works. Let's start off. All I need is somebody pick a poster from this side of the room and let me go grab it and we'll just have a nice discussion about them. Dave, what would you like? The laptop. Okay, where's the laptop? Oh, right here in the middle. All right, here's the way this one works. How many people, quick show of hands, how many people here have a website? Ooh, not enough. It needs to be 100%. Now, let's ask this question. How many people have a website? Hands back up. Hands stay up if you're actively selling merchandise off the website. Oh, baby, this is not nice. Okay? This needs to be another 100%er. Just saw some research very recently that says people who have a physical location and a website get about an extra $60 a month out of each customer because they have the option of buying off of their website as well as buying off of their store. That's an extra $60 in sales per person. Not bad. So the question that I have, and this little reminder here on this poster, says with everything that you've got around the shop, I mean, Jason's got a shirt on. It says he comes from Foxfire in Sarasota, Florida. Okay, where's the web address? As compared to putting the logo on the sleeve or the PGA logo, why isn't the website there? On the hats, when you put the stuff on the front and you've got space to print something on the back, why isn't there the website address there? When I come walking in the shop and I look at the counters, as compared to looking at the counters that say Titleist and Callaway and everyone else, Tommy Bahama and all those other brands out there, instead of seeing those names all over, why on the counters don't I see signs that say www.Foxfire Country Club? People remember that today easier than they remember a phone number. And if you're selling or you're allowing me to come over and register for a tea time by way of the website, and you ought to be selling to me most definitely online, I want every way possible to plant that thought in the customer's head. This is how to find me. We can very easily retain website names, particularly if you have the .com. If you own the .com as a retail type business, it's very easy for me to remember. Okay, thank you for that one, Dave. Who else would like a poster? What would you like to see? Somebody? The crayons. Let's see what we got with the crayons. When we created the second book, we have several that engage contest, because there seemed to be a very large proportion of people who had unique contests that they had ran to get people do things. And this is the one that looked really sharp. On a paper that looks like coloring book paper, I don't know what that grade is, but it's kind of grainy and yellowish paper, they had a picture created that dealt something with what it was that they sold. Okay, it could be a picture landscaping throughout, if you're on property. It could be a picture of the clubhouse. It could be a picture of somebody playing golf. And what they do is take it to the school, and they have a coloring contest for the kids in kindergarten, first grade, second grade. And they provide to the school, here's all the papers the kids need. They color our picture. Now, they don't create their own, they color our picture. And we're going to give away prizes for who was the most creative, who was the neatest, who was the most colorful, who stayed best within the lines, who did the least within the lines. But as they did, they said, now we're going to give away prizes to each of the kids. You can find a prize that kind of ties back into the school, as well as we're going to give a gift back to the school, like some books for the library or something like that. We found, as we wrote the second book, a number of people who said,